I think one of the reasons for the regional bank crisis was the Fed raising rates at a faster rate than it ever has, up 24-fold in 17 months. Never seen anything close to that. Chairman Volcker increased interest rates twofold, not 24-fold.
Right.
So that was part of the regional bank crisis. And notice Bitcoin went up during that. So, and it is true, it probably was anticipating the financing program that the Fed put in place, which was a bit of a jog toward easing, and then it went back, a reverse course.
Mm-hmm.
So
Don't forget to subscribe, traders. Let's continue with the interview to analyze it later and also comment on some of the most important news of the day.
we think that the Fed is going to cut rates. Now, there are a lot of confusing economic data. We hear something from companies and something very different from the government in terms of economic activity. They're not matching up. They're not matching up at all. And so I find that very interesting. I think the Fed is going to figure out that there is much more stress in the system, that the regional bank crisis was the first sign of it, and we'll get other reminders, and that they will move into a rate cutting. Now, what we really think is going to happen is it's going to be less about real economic indicators. It's going to be about price deflation. We think, and Walmart has said, we're going to have to cut prices. That's deflation. That's not disinflation even, it's deflation. And I believe the Fed is going to be shocked at broad-based price deflation this year. And that will be, they're using now inflation as their primary gauge. They're not as focused on real economic activity because inflation has come down even without a recession. I think we've been in a rolling recession, but nonetheless. So inflation is the primary variable they're watching. We think there's going to be deflation, so they'll get 2% all right, and it'll keep falling.
In light of these concerns, the Fed finds itself at a critical juncture, compelled to reassess its policy framework in response to evolving economic realities. The prevailing narrative of subdued economic activity coupled with the specter of deflation prompts a re-evaluation of the Fed's priorities. While inflation remains a primary focus, the Fed must now contend with the nuanced interplay between inflationary and deflationary forces. This necessitates a more nuanced and flexible approach to monetary policy, one that acknowledges the multifaceted nature of contemporary economic challenges.
So they'll lower interest rates. That will be very good for risk assets, and Bitcoin among them. It was interesting. I think it was in late in the fourth quarter, earlier in January, Bitcoin led the market, and so so we're watching Bitcoin now, and of course we're having a sell on the news moment after the 11 Bitcoin ETFs are approved, and I don't know how far that's going to go. This is high frequency trading. It's people getting in just for that short boost and now getting out. But institutions and these retail platforms are going to start moving in, and then we'll see the scarcity value. So what is the price target? We have everything focused on the long term, but it takes short terms to make up a long term. So by 2030, we are in print for our base case as saying that we believe Bitcoin, which is now closing in on 40,000, will be at 640,000 by 2030. That's our base case. The Bitcoin ETFs have increased the probability of our bull case, which is $1.5 million. And if you want to see the building blocks of that, you can take a look at Big Ideas 2023, which we published last January. We're about to publish 2024. And you'll see in Big Ideas how we get to those two cases. After this election, I don't think Chairman Gensler will remain at the SEC, whoever is elected. I think he has aspirations for political some kind of political appointment, so he may go for that reason.
Bitcoin has consistently captivated market observers with its dynamic price movements and potential. Understanding its trajectory involves considering several key factors. During specific periods, Bitcoin has been the market leader, demonstrating its unparalleled significance within the cryptocurrency landscape. Its price movements often serve as a barometer for the broader market sentiment, reflecting investor confidence and market trends. Short-term fluctuations in Bitcoin's price are not uncommon, often stemming from various factors, such as high-frequency trading and sell-offs triggered by events like the approval of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. These fluctuations can create both opportunities and challenges for investors, requiring a nuanced understanding of market dynamics and risk management strategies. Looking ahead, the growing involvement of institutions and the proliferation of retail platforms are poised to further elevate Bitcoin's status. Institutions are increasingly allocating capital to cryptocurrency assets. Retail platforms, meanwhile, are facilitating broader access to Bitcoin, democratizing participation in the digital economy.
If Joe Biden is reelected, or he will go altogether if a Republican is nominated. So, the SEC could drag its feet, but I think the court cases have spoken pretty loudly. We have the Coinbase hearings. We'll get lots of information about what is not a security during that trial. So I do think that raises the odds of an Ethereum spot approval. The Gensler could be in the way. But we do think it will be approved. Merrill is beginning to understand that Vanguard has made a mistake, because Merrill has actually said, no, we aren't banning it. We're evaluating it. And Merrill's very conservative. And Merrill was the last platform to approve our strategies, our ETF strategies. But once they do approve, they're a powerhouse. So they're very careful. So I think this is a massive mistake, strategic mistake, and I do believe the next leadership, the new leadership of Vanguard, whenever that is, will change its policy, because what they're doing is preventing their investors from accessing a new asset class. Their role is to facilitate the access of all financial asset classes. So I think many people are leaving Vanguard. I think Fidelity is the biggest beneficiary there. And Fidelity, I think, as I understand it, is actively courting them because and I don't think Merrill wants to fall into the same category. Philosophically, UBI, I feel, would kill a part of the incentive system that has really made America the innovation engine of the world. Flexibility, agility, opportunity. That's the most important thing. And what I love about innovation is that it's the great leveling field. When my father was sixth grade education, he went into the American Air Force after emigrating. He fell into the radar rabbit hole. No one knew more than my father. And guess what? He made a great living for his family. And I think that's what innovation does if you go for it.
Yeah, it will open up a lot of new opportunities. And like you said, folks have to really do their homework, look at are you in the path of disruption, but it presents an opportunity to invest as well. Absolutely. And create wealth. Yeah, absolutely.
And in the financial services industry, watch out. Jamie Dimon is as, vociferous in his opposition to Bitcoin as anybody out there. Well, guess what? It's because these are the financial rails that are going to derail you in many ways, Jamie and JP Morgan.